Yeah.
You look spooky, Mike.
I do. It's coming up on Halloween.
Are your headphones okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, the impacts of Hurricane Helene on the horse community. Also, training your eyes to see in 5% increments, or 5-degree increments, and also using foam window seals on a horse's hoof. All this and much, much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Travis?
I'm doing all right. How'd you do with the storm? Did you lose power?
I didn't really have any problem. A few tree limbs down. There were a couple of trees down in the area, but not a big deal.
But
clients had some problems, yeah.
Did you lose power, though?
I did not.
You did not. And you're about, what, 2-3 miles up the road from me here?
Yeah, something like that, but more like about 8 or 10.
Okay, but we lost power here, and we're out
Did you pay
here.
your power bill?
I did twice. We lost power about 6 o'clock in the morning, and it came back on about 3:30 in the afternoon. For those listening, we broadcast just outside the Charlotte, North Carolina area in a little town we like to call Marshville. And you're saying you're having issues with like clients are having issues with their horses and stuff?
I have some clients that have had issues. I mean, we're going to have some really soaking wet feet, and which means there are going to be some wet, some shoes off. There's going to be more white line flare up, fungus flare ups, all that sort of deal. Scratches just from being too wet.
Now I've got good news.
Yes.
Outside of all this, rain and dark clouds and everything like that. We were talking about Diego, and Diego was having like this stifling problem, stuff like that. And over the last week up until today, I asked my wife, how's he doing? How's he doing? Because my wife has got this championship thing at the first week of November. And she's like, oh, he's doing so good. He's doing so good. He was just letting me know, mommy, I'm hurting or I'm tired. I need a break. And so Amy gave Diego a break, and now she's back on him, and she's working him. And today I go, how's he today? Up until now, everything's been going good. Up until today, she goes, I think it's back. And I go, what? She's like, the stifling problem. Now, she came up to the studio right before we came on the air and told you about what Diego is doing. And he's doing something weird with his right foot, like he's double kicking it out or something like that. And so what did my wife tell you, and how do you guys, what was your discussion about that?
Well, he's breaking, as far as his limb swing is coming slightly outside of the body, which he's a bit of a high-low in the front end. We've had him tracking pretty straight, so I'm going to have to look at that, because if in that he has dropped out the right shoulder, his whole body will pitch to the right, which will make that leg have to swing out and around to go forward, basically. You can't go around, you're going around in circles if you don't. And so then you got to look at what the other's doing. Is it breaking? It's coming under towards center line a little bit more. So we got to look at that, and in getting that straighter, we may have to.
Okay, make the limb straighter. There we go.
Make the movement pattern straighter. Are we getting his body out of square? Is he twisting his barrel? Is he rolling his barrel out to one side more than the other, which in that situation would be rolling the barrel out to the left? So we got to get the barrel centered up and the barrel in a straight line, and then we can get the body moving more direct forward.
It always
Does that make any sense at all?
No, it doesn't. But it always amazes me that when you talk about, okay, the horse's leg is doing this, or the body and the barrel's not moving right, all you do is adjust their feet a little bit. Just their feet, as far as how they come off of their feet to make them make those movements.
It's just like a suspension on a NASCAR.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It just mind boggles me every time you do that. So you're going to go over there this Friday and look at Diego and make sure that he's okay and tighten the springs, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, put a little of this in, soften the spring here, tighten the spring there.
All right, you guys. So stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk about the impacts of Hurricane Helene on the horse community and what you should look for and what to be careful for. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Greetings. This is Julia Fisher, Secretary of the South Carolina Horse Council, reaching out to urge you to join your South Carolina State Horse Council. The South Carolina Horse Council is the only statewide, all-volunteer, 501c3 organization that works for the benefit of the equine industry in South Carolina. Our mission is to connect, communicate, and educate. The South Carolina Horse Council represents all breeds, riding styles, and activity preferences. The council works to serve the horse community in a myriad of ways. For example, we help to educate our members, our elected officials, and the general public about the benefits of equestrian activities. South Carolina Horse Council holds clinics throughout the state on topics such as horsemanship, pasture management, equine nutrition, lameness, trailer safety, and barn management. Are you a member yet? Visit schorsecouncil.com.
Yeah, the crazy thing is when I started talking about all that kind of stuff, there's a guy that used to work in NASCAR, and he said, it's just like setting up a car for a road course. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you do this and this to get them to go left, where the car automatically wants to go left. But when you go to a road course, you do this and this and this, and sometimes you have to shift the weight to the back end of the car, and you play with spring tension and this, whatever. So it was easier to make sense to him than it was to most horse riders.
Yeah, I would believe that. Are you ready?
Yep.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, all the podcasts, all the videos, and everything are located over at the equinedynamics.com. You can check them out over there. If you've missed any of the past podcasts, go over there. You can find them under Join the Podcast. And while you're over at Join the Podcast over on equinedynamics.com, you can leave us a voice message. Comes right to our inbox, and we'll play it on the very next podcast. If you have any questions for Mike Stine, we've got over 2 years of podcasts over there, so sit back and enjoy every single one of them. And if you have a question for Mike Stine, give us a little referral of what show you were listening to, and we'll go back and listen to it and then answer your question from there. And you can be anonymous if you want, no problem at all. But go over to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast, and you can see all that information there. And over to our far end side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. Now, we were talking about Hurricane Helene.
Yes, we were.
And for those of you who don't know, we also have a YouTube channel. It's Equine Dynamics on YouTube. So check us out over there, because every podcast has a video in real time of us here in the studio, me waving to Mike, Mike waving to me over there. Hi, Mike. And thank you, Queen of England. And if we have x-rays or videos or any kind of visual images, Mike does a lot of drawings. He brings a lot of stuff. He's got a whole bunch of tools and stuff here on the table he's going to talk about as well. So go over to YouTube as well. Make sure you give him a subscribe over there at Equine Dynamics over on YouTube. So, Mike, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about the impacts of Hurricane Helene on the horse community. Now, we do have some pictures here, and that's not one of them. This is one of the pictures here. Where is this picture at, and what are we looking at?
Okay, that picture is in Tennessee, and I think it's up around I'm thinking it's up around the Bristol area.
Okay. And for those of you listening to us on the podcast over on iHeartRadio or Spotify, you're looking at almost like a little mini valley, and at the valley's real high on the sides, and then this low valley in the center.
And it's full of water. Water comes running down off those hills fast.
And this house is probably 3/4 underwater. And
right.
And I can see back here in the back.
Looks like a barn back there, right?
Used to be a barn. Now, thank God there's some higher ground over here. Now, I remember a long time ago when living in Florida, friends of mine had horses, and they would spray paint on the horses the physical address of where they lived, of where that horse belonged to, like took spray cans and spray painted horses. I think we might have talked about this in our first season of doing this show. Because if your horse gets out, of course, the spray paint's not going to wash off. And then someone could find the horse and, unfortunately, if it passed away or did make it out in someone's yard or pasture, they knew exactly where this horse went to. Nobody talks about things like that.
No, they don't. And the spray paint's a good idea. I've seen chains around horses' neck, little plastic chains with tags. I've seen tags braided into their manes and tails, and all this with the owner information in them, just in case something happened. And because there's going to be horses that are going to end up places that people have no idea where they came
They
from.
could end up, they could get swept downstream and survive, swimming in the current, and then end up, 4 or 5 miles, or if not more than that, down the road.
Right. And some people are microchipping horses at this point, so that if you have scanners, you can scan for microchips.
Well, that's an ordeal in itself.
Right.
I mean that's what all right, Charlie, go get the scanner.
It would be easier if they were all tagged.
Yeah, if they were tagged, or I would go with spray painted. I'm sorry, but I think that's just
Spray paint, yeah.
just spray paint the house number and the street, and you don't have to put the zip code and your name or anything like that, and on there. And I would think like the metal tags around the neck, like a dog tag, would get hung on a branch or something like that.
It could.
All right, so this is the house in Tennessee that we're looking at here. Here's another place that we're looking at. This is
in Aiken, South Carolina, and this is it was a cross country jump. And I've got a client that was showed me that they had they'd competed many times at Pine Top, and it was the destruction from the storm.
And this is it says the Dutton Saloon jump did not make it through the storm. We believe a tornado went through the farm at around the time the center approached the area. Lots of historical oak trees down. The main barn facilities are intact. So there you go over there, and then we have one more picture.
Right, for our eventers, they all know Pine Top. That picture was actually sent to me by another farrier friend of mine, and that was in North Carolina. And
around the Asheville area, maybe?
No, actually, that one was not. That one was sent right before the storm, with another storm that came through down east, where they have some real water problems.
Now, when we're talking about all these storms and everything, now the storms are gone and everyone's, cleaning up the debris and everything and trying to find their horses, hopefully they're all at home still and they're all okay and they're all above water and everything. What are we looking for now? What should we start looking for now with the new climate that we're being thrown upon?
Well, there's going to be, animals that have been lost, animals that have been injured, animals that strains, pulls, injuries, stuff like that. Of course, when you get the ground that muddy, you're going to lose shoes. And, of course, right now, the people that have lost shoes in this is the least of their problems. But, since the feet are so saturated, if you have any fungus problems, stuff like that, there's going to be a flare-up of, any kind of white line fungus, anything like that. And leg funguses, everything else, because the horses have just been soaking wet.
So if you find like a horse, let's say, I got Dominique and Cayenne here, and the first thing would you do is, I would assume, just get them out on dry ground.
Dry ground would be good, yes.
If you have a stall or something to put them in there with shavings and whatnot. And then what should I start looking for something, right then and there? Or is it like a couple days later?
Well, some of this stuff's going to take a while to start showing up. Mm-hmm. And, some of the funguses are going to take a while to really start seeing what's happening with that.
So, go ahead.
And, there are horses that are going to get muscle strains, tendon ligament strains, that sort of deal.
Something else that you're going to have to play with, and this just popped in the back of my mind, with all these pastures and everything being washed out, there's not going to be any vegetation for the horses to eat. So now you have to go,
We have
okay.
a problem with where's your food source.
Yeah, where's your food source out? And you're going, okay, well, normally I let the horse out and they eat the pasture grass all day long, and I give them their vitamins and stuff in the evening time. Now I've got to supplement their pasture with hay. And people that aren't used to doing that on a regular basis, how much hay do I give a horse and what kind of hay do I give a horse? We give our horses Timothy. It's a compressed Timothy that we get, and it's usually one fleck in the evening, because we do have pastures that have full grass and stuff, so they eat grass all day long. And if, one's gotten a little fat, as you know, but I mean, now they have no food source,
right? And they're stressed. So you're going to have some colics and a few other things from stress. You may have some horses that go into laminitis from, if horses start colicking, there is a chance of laminitis sometimes. And but their whole system is knocked out of whack when we change with what has gone on. You're going to have to feed what you can get, which may not be the normal diet, and that can cause some issues with their system.
And see, maybe the people that normally you get your hay from aren't going to be available
They
because
might not have hay, and it might all be soaking wet.
It might be in the same situation that you are now. hay that's wet, I know this is not. I know that it's not bad, but it depends on how long it's been wet. Because I know my wife, she will soak the hay before she'll give it to the horse to get some of the sugars out.
Right.
Yeah, get some of the sugars out of it. So necessarily wet hay is not bad because it does not have the sugars or as much sugars.
Yes, but you're feeding it. You're feeding it. You're soaking it and then feeding it.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And
what happens when you leave wet bread on the corner of the porch? It turns to mold.
exactly, and you can't feed horses that.
They won't eat it.
You'd hope not, anyway.
I think they would be smart enough to know
Right.
not to eat that.
So that could turn into an ugly deal for some people, and there are some groups out there pulling together and looking for help and trying to get some help for people, because there's a lot of people that are, and not just because of the horses, their homes are wiped out.
Is that something that the South Carolina horse? Hold on.
South Carolina Horse Council?
Yeah. Is that something that South Carolina Horse Council
That would definitely be a resource to look at for sure, to see what they're doing.
So give Julie a call over there, and she can help you
at
out.
least help you find resources.
Yep, she'll give you some help out.
Everyone should call Julia.
Everyone should call
Julia.
whether you need help or not.
That's right. Just call Julia.
And that's over at the South Carolina Horse Council. They'll help not only people in South Carolina, but all over. They do a lot of good stuff for the horse community. All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we're going to start training your eyes to see in 5-degree increments. And what does that mean? Well, if you're not watching us over on YouTube, now's a great chance to go over there and pop us up on your TV, your smart TV or whatever like that, and give us a watch over there while you're doing the dishes or while the kid's laying down taking a nap or something like that. And you can see all the stuff. Mike's got his protractors out. He didn't bring his glasses, so he might have a hard time reading these numbers on the protractor.
I have to get some with really big numbers.
I'll try to zoom in.
I should have gotten a protractor about 10 times that size.
Yeah, so we'll dive into that when we come back. Stick around. You listen.
Actually, when I turned the protractor over, you could see the numbers better.
Yeah, because you had them backwards. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Greetings again from the South Carolina Horse Council. Our horse welfare programs offer small grants to equine owners who are struggling financially for specific veterinary bills. First, our Stallions to Geldings funding acknowledges the benefits of gelding your animal, and once the application is attested to by the vet and approved, it provides direct payments to your vet for gelding services. This is an important resource and has been able to assure that hundreds of equines in the state, horses, donkeys, and mules, have received quality care. Our euthanasia program helps with final arrangements for those owners who may be struggling with end-of-life arrangements for their equine partners and lack adequate resources. Funds do not cover disposal, but once approved, can provide direct-to-the-vet payments for managing euthanasia expenses. Are you a member yet? Visit schorsecouncil.com.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. We'd love for you to be part of the show. The way you can be part of the show right here in the studio alongside of us. You can ask us a question at any time. Go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast. And once you click on that, you'll see a little screen that says leave a message for Equine Dynamics. Leave a message for Equine Dynamics. And all it does is that if you've got a microphone on whatever device you're listening to us on or at, speak right into it. You can be anonymous in there. You can put a fake name, like you can put Julia's name in there if you want.
Right. I use Julia's name for everything.
And then your voice will play it on the very next podcast. And also make sure you put your email address in there as well so we can send you out some free stuff. And if you don't want to go on the air, that's fine. At the top of that same page, you can go to contacts, type us a message, and we'll read it on the air. And then also put a physical address in there, and we'll reach out to you and get you some free swags and stickers. And over to my far hand side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Travis.
You're focused. It's like you got a worksheet, like you're in elementary school.
This is kindergarten art class.
All right, and now's a great chance to go over to YouTube and we'll watch this because Mike Stine's going to do some drawings. And let me switch over to camera 9. And what are we looking at here, Mike?
This is just to start forming some ideas on what we're seeing when we look at a hoof. Now, I have people that take pictures for me all the time of feet. And, you know, if I'm getting an idea of what's going on, are we on this camera?
Yeah.
Okay. I have feet that are like this, like this, like this, like this. This is what my hoof angle looks like. Mm-hmm. And I'll get a picture like that quite often.
Straight down the horse's leg.
Straight down the horse's leg, and this is what my foot looks like, and that's what I can see.
Does that do you any good when they take a picture straight down the leg like that?
Well, I can tell that there's some changes right here in alignment because of the growth down. Now, when you're taking pictures for me as a farrier, if you can take your cell phone and get down on the ground and you're shooting like you would, your veterinarian shoots x-rays. Shoot from there, shoot from there.
So you're talking about directly from the side.
Directly from the side, square on.
And then directly.
Get your phone down to where you're shooting like they would be shooting an x-ray. And then I can see the contours and all that.
And
same thing from the front.
Directly from the front.
You can take me pictures straight on from the bottom. But if you're taking me pictures straight on from the bottom and we're here, and you're asking me, well, what does the conformation of the bottom of the foot look like? I'm like,
I don't know, because it's all at an angle.
Right.
So when you take a picture of the bottom, you want to be at least 90 degrees from the camera.
It would be good if you can be square on with the bottom of the foot.
Gotcha.
Because you want me to see what it looks like. That's kind of where I'm looking for as a farrier. I might be a little bit here, but that's where I'm looking at the foot. And if you're going to lay out, what length is here and what length is there and all this sort of stuff, and try to figure out percentages on that is kind of hard from here.
Yeah, when you got it sitting at a 45-degree angle.
Right.
All right, so what are you drawing there? It looks like connect the dots.
It is connect the dots.
And you've got 6 or 7 lines in a diagonal, and you've got graph paper.
I've got graph paper. Graph paper is a nice little thing. But graph paper, you automatically have a 90 degree. You easily, with the graph paper, you have a 45 degree. And think about angles of feet. People say, well, my foot's at whatever angle. You can kind of train yourself to see in 5 degree, increments, give or take. So you got your 90, you got a 45, and just for the sake of, would this be about an even split between?
Don't move. Nope. I'm just moving the mic. I want you to stay where you are.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
And you draw that in.
Yep.
We'll do the same down here because depending on which side of the horse you're on, depends on which foot you're going to be looking at.
Now, when we say 45 degree, are we talking about the base of the foot and the actual hoof itself?
Well, what I'm talking about is looking like straight on from this view.
Just making a whole lot of noise over there, Mike.
Yes, I am.
So that line that you're going to draw right now, which is bigger than the 45, you consider that maybe a 60.
Maybe a 60, yeah.
You wouldn't consider it a 30 because you're going the opposite way. You want the actual angle of the hoof itself.
Then let's look here. That's a rough split. That's probably about where a decent hoof angle is going to be.
And that's halfway between the 60 and the 45.
Right. And we'll do the same here because you're going to be looking at, and that's not right dead on necessarily, but
now what I want once you draw that line, I want you to put your protractor on it and see how much you are dead center on that. Can you do that?
Okay. So we know by default this is roughly 45.
Right.
And we did a 45 here. Okay.
You have awesome penmanship.
Yeah, I was training to be a doctor.
What else?
And I lost it. There it is.
He's got his handy dandy protractor that we all know what it is.
It's a little itty bitty one that the number should be 5 times as big.
Yeah. All right. So what do you got?
Okay. So here, we ended up roughly, call it 65. That's close enough.
All right. So that's 65.
Okay. Here it's a little above that, so it's maybe 67.
All right, we'll go 67.
We'll go 67.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
On this one, we're right dead on 55.
Okay.
Okay. And anybody can sit around and do this.
Now, wouldn't it be cool? I say cool. If you're telling people right now to go home and take a picture of their horse's hoofs. Now watch. Hold on. Bear with me. So you're taking a picture of the horse's foot. The foot's on the ground. Your camera's flat on the ground, looking at the horse's foot and taking the picture.
Right.
And then printing out that picture or doing something with that picture and physically taking your protractor at home and seeing. You can see right then and there and put the clear protractor on that.
You could. Yes.
Right on the picture of the horse that you just took.
Right. And you can see. Okay. Got 45, say 55, and there's 67, or let's call it 65. But you can see a physical difference. And let's say this is a 55. Could you see a 55 or 56 and a half difference between on a quick look? Probably not that easy. But you can take 45, 55, right?
Right.
And same thing on the back end of the foot. But it pretty much goes the other way because typically the heel is going to be coming at a lower angle than the front foot.
So now we're looking at halfway between 0 and 45 instead of 45 and 90. So halfway would be 25? I'm bad with numbers, Mike.
Well, we're not using numbers because I can't count anyway. Right?
Right.
So let's just say
Freehanded.
We're going here. And some of them can be a little higher unless you got an extreme club foot. You're not going to have a higher heel angle than that. Some of them it will match from front to back. Mm-hmm. But if you got a club foot, an extreme like a club foot with a flare, okay, that's 20, 25.
25.
That ended up probably, I'll call it 27.
All right, so that's the back foot.
The back of the foot. And I didn't exactly draw a straight line because I'm,
Freehanded.
Yeah, freehanded.
You're Wild West out there.
That's probably a little closer to 25 if you straighten it out right in there.
Okay.
And then you can have line here. You could have something here. But, then you start looking at the foot. Okay, if I got, just for say, this foot, I'm going to have a coordinator band comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to collapse back into here. This foot is going to connect more to here. Here, we're going to have a foot that comes back on this lower set foot. The pastern is going to be further forward. Further back in the foot. This one is going to run a little bit further forward. And if you go to this foot, it's going to, you come out of your coronary band, comes up, and your pastern is going to be set further towards the front of the foot where it starts turning up into the pastern. And also on this really low slung foot, it's going to come up.
And that's the pasture band.
Into the back of the pastern, somewhere in there, not quite that ugly, a little bit better looking. And then you go here, and it's going to come up a little, up here higher to the pastern. So, start looking at those things, and just sit around and draw feet. And no, seriously,
if you got nothing to do on a Saturday night,
on a Saturday afternoon, you ought to be able to come in here and say,
get a bottle of wine and draw some feet.
Bottle of wine, and here's what my horse's foot looks like, and
then you could frame it,
and we know that the base is about this long.
I got another million idea.
Got a bulb here.
I got $1 million idea, Mike.
What's that?
You ever seen those places where you bring your own wine or beer or whatever you want, and couples will paint pictures and stuff with each other?
They might have a flare here and a weather line here.
I think you should open up your own little place, and horse people can come out and bring their wine and draw feet.
There you go. There you go. But you just from a side view of the foot, start training your eye. And people ask, well, how do you see this, and this in the foot? Well, this is part of it. And I'm not asking to do. Well, actually, I do some artwork, kind of like, what's that guy that did the real?
Bob Ross?
No. The one that painted people's faces and you couldn't tell what they looked like at all.
There's a million of them.
Yeah,
out
one of
there.
those real abstract dudes.
Yeah.
If they look like that, that's fine.
Okay.
But looking at it, drawing over and over and over, it trains your eye to see, and you want to develop a little more of an artist eye. And that goes for anything with the body of the horse. Your shoulders, where your pelvis is, what the back shape like. You learn to see symmetry or not symmetry, and that's going to help a lot with figuring out what's going on with the horse.
And it first starts with you going out there and then taking a picture of the horse's foot, and so you physically, mentally have an idea of what that horse's foot looks like. So when you have a vet or your farrier or someone comes over and says, well, this is what's going on, you in your mind already have that established foundation. Right. I know what he's talking about. And
this will give you a better idea when you start learning a few things where the foot is internally, and when you look at X-rays, you're also looking at where everything is laid out internally, and does that match the foot or not?
All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk about how Mike Stine uses window foam sealer on horses' hooves, and I don't know if he's just keeping the water out or he's just doing weird stuff.
Well, you don't want the feet too wet.
All right, well, stick around. We'll dive in that story when we come back. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Here at the South Carolina Horse Council, our membership dues are affordably priced for individuals, families, farms, and businesses. Lifetime membership options mean you'll never have to worry about missing that annual renewal deadline to remain in good standing. Membership in the South Carolina Horse Council offers a number of important benefits. The council offers $1 million worth of personal excess liability insurance at an affordable group rate to all of our members, whether you're a resident of the state of South Carolina or not. We have compiled a trails booklet with all public trails listed and mapped within the state, available to new members for free or upon request for the cost of the postage. Our website provides updates for emergency preparedness on evacuation sites for equines in the event of hurricanes, floods, or other natural disasters. Visit schorsecouncil.com.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you're not watching this over on YouTube, now's a great chance to jump on over there and subscribe to Mike Stine, Equine Dynamics on YouTube, because every podcast we do, we have a video as well that goes along with it. We have the audio portion that you hear on your iHeartRadio, your iTunes, your Spotify, and the full-length video, the full-length podcast is found over on the YouTube channel. There's some little stuff that we kind of cut out just to save time and stuff when you're listening to it on the audio portion, but the video portion is completely uncut all the way through. You hear all the jokes. You can see Mike over there drinking his coffee and smacking things around and breaking things. So... He forgot the golden rule. Don't drink while you're on the air.
Don't drink while you're on the job.
Yeah. And over to my far hand side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis.
After that sip, I'm sure you're just fine.
Yes.
Now, what do you got over there on your table? It looks like you got a whole bunch of flying saucers. Flying saucers or something like that.
This is alien craft for your horse. Yeah.
So tell us what we're looking at. They look aluminum. I already can tell.
They're aluminum.
They're aluminum.
They're aluminum. The reason I'm bringing this up is... sometimes when you're gluing, there are all kinds of apparatus that are designed to be glued on the horse's feet. Now, as being a farrier and what I have in my rig, and I have to do something immediately sometimes where I'm set up to go. And when you're gluing horses, there are some feet that you actually want to control their movement just like you would with casting. Now, honestly... you've got all these things where you put fabric up the side of the foot and all this sort of deal. Sometimes some of the adhesives are not that great on the hoof wall. In a lot of ways, most farriers or a lot of farriers would rather direct glue than indirect. Like the Sikafus have that fabric up the side.
I had a dog like that.
Fabric up the side.
No, I had a Sikafu dog.
A Sikafu dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. But just because of a few things I've had to deal with in the last week, have had a horse recently that I did glue. He had a tendency to be sole sore, thin-soled sole sore, and we had an area in the back of the heel that we needed to keep open even though we were gluing, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you weren't there.
No, I wasn't there.
You weren't there. So then the question is, if you're direct gluing, you put your acrylic on there and you go onto the foot, how do you control where the glue goes?
Kind of goes all over the place. I play
Right.
with epoxy, and it's just a mess.
Right. So exactly. So this is high-tech stuff. Came from Lowe's. And
that is window and door sealing.
exactly.
It looks like a 1/2-inch foam strip about 1/4 inch deep, and it's got a sticky back on it.
Right, but you can come in here on any shoe and start laying pieces in to control where the glue goes, so you're not gluing onto the sole. And by doing this, it adds a little bit of height to your glue area, right?
Gives it a wall.
Gives it a wall, correct. And you can do this all the way around any shoe. The horse that I glued on the other week, we had a problem with one of the bars. Now, normally I would want to glue the shoe all the way to the heel, but in this instance, I wanted to keep all the pressure off. So it floated off. We still got the horse where the horse can do its job. And we just controlled where the glue went on that shoe.
Now, once you glue it on the horse's foot, what do you do with the foam strip, the weather stripping?
Well, some of it we were able to pull out. Some of it, the glue will adhere to the stripping.
Will it bother the horse, or is just
This is very soft. In an ideal world, it would be a perfect open space. But this is something I can grab in a hurry at the local hardware store. Some of it we can pull out. Some of it will scrape out. Some of it's still going to have glue on it. But you can take a pick and run that, and this stuff
kind of clean it up a little
pull
bit
apart like that,
Yeah.
right? And clean it out of there. But we've completely covered this heel, so you can bring the glue back, glue on, get this out of there. We've built the glue up higher, so this is floated off the shoe.
Yeah, because normally it's kind of like when you have a ham sandwich and you put mayonnaise on the bread, and then you
Right.
put your ham on it and you push the ham down, it squirts out all over the place. Now you've got this thin layer of mayonnaise in there. I
Right.
want a nice big thick layer of mayonnaise
Well,
in there.
I like for the acrylic to be a little thicker too.
Yeah, so this is helping the glue be a little bit thicker and adhere a little bit more.
Now, one thing you run into is if you squish it in and it pops back out, you just squish glue and you separated the glue so it'll lose stick. But once you get into place, you don't want to mess with it. And you can stick a couple like little tiny race nails in just to tack it temporarily.
Now, when you were talking about squishing it and stuff, now you're going to glue this on the bottom of the horse's foot.
Right.
The horse's foot is definitely going to have to hit the ground sooner or later. How long do you have to keep it up for that glue to set in or the acrylics to set in?
Well, I do have DeWalt now has made a cordless heat gun.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes you put a little bit of heat to it to get to set off the chemical reaction of the glue. All urethanes, acrylics, anything they have to go through it's two-part, goes through chemical reaction and chemical reaction set. You can control that with heat. If it's very hot outside, you want to cool your glue down because you don't have enough working time to get the foot with certain glues. I prefer to use a fast set glue for this sort of thing.
So within seconds, this glue could be hardened up.
Well, it's going to take more than seconds. The problem with the fast set is you've got to have enough working time to get it in here. And in a situation like this, where, part of the reason we did this is the hoof wall was coming apart. We had some white line damage, so I cleaned out of the white line damage area, and we put some treatment directly into the white line area that we could glue on top of.
Now, when you're adding the glue, is it a syringe form, or is it basically you're mixing like a frosting on a cake, and you're quickly trying to push
I'm
it?
doing kind of like your buddy you were talking about, Bob Ross.
Oh, really? What was he doing?
Well, I'm mixing it. It comes out of a two-part tube. I'm mixing it. I'm adding. I can medicate the acrylics. So I'm putting something in it to medicate, and I've already put some medication and basically super glued it in right there where the white line was. So that area has medicated product right there into the valley where the white line is. This goes over top of it, and that's medicated because it helps, keep anything out and protect the wall. Now, to do that with a fast set glue, I've got a 12-volt cooler in the back of the cab of the truck, and I hover it about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. So when it comes out, I can mix it, get it on there, get it in place, hit it with a heat gun, start the curing process, wrap it, hold it long enough to get it tacked good, and then set them down and ask them to stand there quiet for a while it cures out the rest of the
Give him a carrot.
give them a carrot.
But how do you physically apply it? Is it just like a spatula or something that you're pushing it in there?
You can use tongue depressors. Work pretty well.
That's where I was getting at.
A lot of times I will go to the local hardware store and they have the disposable putty knives, and those you can get for
dime a dozen.
And you can wipe them off and reuse them sometimes. But when I'm gluing on a foot, if I was doing a rebuild for an area of horse stand, I might rebuild and do reconstruction. I might scrape it, and it might be good for another round. But if not, at 50, 60, 80 cents, it did its job, and it goes away, right?
Yes.
And you have to leave enough trash in the person's barn to make them know that you actually work there.
Exactly. I know. I can tell when you're in our barn because we got all the little horse trimmings and stuff all swept up in a pile.
All that stuff stuck to the ceiling. And, yeah.
No,
but
it's not that bad.
On something like this, on any clog type deal, would be a clog type deal. Now this one's rigid. This one's made of aluminum. There are some horses that are out riding in these that have a lot of not good foot problems. Some of them are not going to like to be nailed, and you can take this and you can nail it, you can glue it, you can rearrange the shape of it with your bandsaw, put new holes in it, change the shape of it a grinder, but this is a fairly typical foot, so it will fit nice enough on some feet. And if not, well, you go on to something else. But in this situation, you might use an impression material that could be held in and put into this area, make your impression, come back off the foot, and then the impression itself could control the glue. But if not, there again, you can just take
your weather stripping.
And I'm going to put a picture of a horse on this, and you can lay your weather stripping right where it needs to go to control where your adhesive is. And that way you can bank your adhesive up against this, get it glued on, and not pressure a sore-soled horse. If you got a really, really thick-soled horse, we have direct glued many of them for years on thick-soled feet, and they've all been happy enough and went on down the road. And this stuff is not something you have to go bankrupt over. I think this was like $4.58.
And you don't do it all the time, though.
But you can get this through this show right now.
Right now. 3 easy payments.
We're 3 easy payments of $19.95.
And
we will take a quarter of a roll and put it in a baggie with a picture of a horse on it, and only 3 easy payments today instead of a $500 payment each month. Only $19.95, 3 payments, right?
And it includes your protractor kit and measuring tape,
right? For that,
and a pad of graph paper. So we have a whole kit there. We have a whole Bob Ross kit, but it's a Mike Stine kit.
And if you order today, right now, today,
this very minute,
you can get two for the price of one.
That's amazing, Mike. You cut a deal. Well, stick around, folks. We'll give you all the details on how to pick up this amazing order. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Hello again from your South Carolina Horse Council. Did you know that the South Carolina Horse Council invests in programs that support education and equestrian activities for the young people of our state? The council awards numerous youth scholarships annually. We sponsor the state finals event for the South Carolina 4-H Equine program, and we provide full event sponsorship for the year-end South Carolina Future Farmers of America Horse Evaluation program. We also sponsor the South Carolina Governor's School of Agriculture Equine program. Our expo periodically brings education and entertainment to equine enthusiasts of all disciplines. Is law enforcement in your area educated on the special needs of equines? The South Carolina Animal Control Officer Seminar helps familiarize law enforcement and animal control officers with proper care of horses to better identify and investigate cases of neglect or abuse. For more information, visit schorsecouncil.com.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Make sure you go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast. If you'd like to join the podcast, click on that little button there and you'll see all the podcasts, all the 10 seasons of shows there. Make sure you get caught up on all those. Listen to them during this rainy season. Hopefully everyone's doing all right out there when the storm passes through. And you can see all the YouTube videos up there as well. And if you'd like to have this podcast do a show at your location, if you got a barn, if you got a special event or anything like that, we'd be happy to come out there and perform this live broadcast right at your location. You just fill out that little portion that says clinics, and we'll pencil you in and get you scheduled and get you all set up with that. And over to my far inside is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Travis, how are you?
Doing well. Orders are coming in now. The phone's ringing off the hooks over there at the equinedynamics.com page.
That is only for today.
It's only for today.
Rush order.
All right, so you got about 30 minutes to get caught up on that while the supplies last. We're just kidding about that. But anyways, we're having a good time. Everyone's having a good time. We need good times right now with all the stuff that's going on and people dealing with this weather that we're having right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that need to be in our thoughts and a lot of people out there that need help. And for those of us who can help, there are ways to get it, and there are ways to get it directly to the people that actually need the help.
And what did we actually learn today, Mike? What did we learn?
Well,
what did we learn, Mike?
What did we learn?
He forgot his line. We know the impacts of Hurricane Helene. If you're not sure where to go to, if you're who to call, you can always call Julie over at the South Carolina Horse Council. If you don't get a hold of Julia, you can get a hold of someone over there and they'll give you some details. They don't just take care of horses in South Carolina. They handle all across the United States as well. So you can give her a holler over there and hopefully everyone's doing all right. And also training your eye to see in 5 or 10 degree increments. And what do we mean by that, Mike?
Well, you can learn to see in 5 degree increments, give or take close. And you need to get a mental, when I look at a horse and I'm thinking I need to, make decisions quickly, because horses are running out of patience. And how quick can I look at a foot, a leg, a pastern, whatever, and start deciding the what's and whys of what's going on.
And you can sign up for my How to Draw Horses' Feet class. It'll be at the local Piggly Wiggly. Bring a bottle of wine. I think it's $50 for a 30-minute session.
And if you pay today, you can bring a friend for only half price because you'll split. Yeah, there you go.
Your friend will be half price. There'll be a punch and pie as well. And also using foam window seal.
Are you going to punch them?
No, I'm not going to punch them. And also using foam window seal on a horse's foot to help build the acrylics or any kind of glue that when you're gluing horseshoes on to give them a nice thick pad. And why are we doing that?
Why are we doing that? Sometimes on some of these horses, you do not want to load the sole, and you can use that to control where the acrylics go so you do not glue to the sole. You want to keep it directly on the wall. On a very thick-footed horse, it really, some of them, if you got, half inches, 3/4 of an inch sole under there, you could probably glue to it. Of course, they can run down the gravel driveway anyway, right?
Yep. Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
All right, guys, on that note, we're going to let you get back to enjoying your ponies. Make sure you follow us over on YouTube. Leave us a message over at equinedynamics.com on behalf of Mike Stine over there.
Thank you. Have a good day with your ponies, and think about the people who've been hurt with the storm.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week.
All of your work is done. Just close your eyes and dream.